I want you to avoid disappointment when it comes to buying tools. So in this video, $2.99 caulking gun versus $6.99 caulking gun. Which one is better, or more likely, what are the differences? Now, of course, there is a $10 or $15 caulking gun as well on the market available, but the difference is between a lowest end and the mid-range. The pattern will continue and carry on towards the higher end. So let's take a look at the differences. What makes a $7 caulking gun and what makes a $3 caulking gun? So first thing first, that would be probably geometric comparison. You can see that this push rod, the caulking gun works this way. This push rod advances inside this tube and pushing caulk out of the tube that gets placed in this caulking gun. So you can see that this push rod advances in a straight line. That's fantastic. Well, fantastic, but it's nowhere near centered on the tube here. That's a problem, because like on this one, this push rod needs to be parallel with this part of the gun holding the tube, because in this geometric configuration the tube is gonna be the empty end of the tube is being emptied from this end here towards the nozzle here. So the empty end is gonna kick up, and you're gonna get stuck with this push rod trying to advance inside a now empty caulking tube. So it's not gonna, it's gonna be super hard to squeeze the trigger, and it's not gonna be going forward. Okay, why doesn't it do so? In other words, this is a piece of garbage. So why doesn't it advance neatly? There are two things I want to point out, fairly easily observable. One can be checked with this ever handy sheet metal gauge, their US standard gauge for sheet and plate iron steel. This one is made of too thin, basically, made of gauge 22, that's pushing it, gauge 21, yeah, something like that, gauge 21 there, or 21 gauge sheet metal, and that's cute there, plus a little bit of paint which just got scraped off now. So this is 21 gauge sheet metal, and this one over here is at least 2 gauges thicker. Here is gauge 21, so let's pick another spot because there's a paper there increasing the thickness. So gauge 21 doesn't work on this one, not even close. Gauge 20, no. Gauge 19, there. So it's about there, 19 gauge sheet metal versus 21 gauge sheet metal. This difference between the two of them in terms of metal can also be checked when you put them on a scale, on a simple kitchen scale that measures in grams. This one weighs 387 grams and this one weighs 447 grams. So the 60 gram, about 2 ounce difference between the two of them in favor of the more expensive one means that it's, yes, it's a thicker metal. The push rod is also thicker on this one, about 1/64 of an inch. That's about 0.4 millimeters. So everything is thicker on this one, that produces this 60 gram or 2 ounce difference in weight between the two of them. So what happens with the metal gauge, if it's too thin, it flexes too much, like so. Alright, that's what it comes down to at the base. You can see at the base plate there where it counts, it just flexes too much. Okay, you got the idea. This is garbage. Alright, it's garbage the minute it's made. It cannot be made right. It's too thin sheet metal. Whereas this one, applying about the same force or even more, you can see that it isn't twisting, and it's not nearly bending that much, not even close. So other than that, just a few more differences in features. This one has a little wire pokey thingy on it with which you can pierce the aluminum foil or whatever on the caulking tube, and this one does nothing alike. And here on the handle, this one says spout cutter, and there's a blade advancing when you pull the trigger, so that's how that works. If you like it, use it, whatever. I don't. I just like to cut it with an X-Acto knife on a 45-degree angle, really neatly, whatever. Just finesse it. That's how I like cutting the nozzle on the caulking tube, and this one has nothing alike, no features on it. This one says, it says China on it somewhere. Where does it say? Found it. It says China on it there, proudly, big letters. This one says improved, and it's US pattern and whatever, so at least it's got some origins to a place where quality control has a chance to exist, whereas but this was still made in China. I saw it somewhere there, made in China. Fantastic. So however, by and large, this is way better. It actually functions in normal operating conditions as a caulking tube, whereas this one is garbage the minute you buy it. Just to throw it away. I just kept it for deterrent example. Alright, that's all I wanted to share about it. Save yourself some money, do a little bit of thinking.